right. Welcome back to All Hitches, Nova's #1 football podcast. Coach Mesa, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing great. The Dodgers won last night. Won in a 2-0 game. I mean, it was pretty awesome. So I'm rocking the Dodger blue hat for in celebration of the Dodgers. Hoping for a LA New York World Series.
How'd the Nationals do?
Although I wonder if we have quite a few O's fans because the Orioles. I mean, they look like they're pretty hot in playoffs. They got eliminated.
Yeah, I was a Dodger fan as a kid, so yeah. I mean, I'm a casual fan anyways for baseball. You know me, I'm a football, boxing guy. Yeah. I've watched a little bit of NBA, baseball, just casual fan. But as a kid, my friend, I was Fernando mania, baby. I love Fernando Valenzuela. I love Oral Hershiser, Kirk Gibson, Steve Sachs, Steve Garvey.
Steve Sachs and Garvey.
Yeah. I mean, I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
Guerrero.
Oh, Pedro Guerrero. Guerrero.
I could go on. I was, like I said, I was not a casual as a kid. I was a big Dodger fan.
Now, when you were growing up here, being a Northern Virginia guy, since there were no Nationals growing up, were the O's the team of the area?
Oh, for sure. Like all my friends who are really into baseball are still Orioles fans. A lot of them, that I grew up with.
So I've only been to Camden Yards once. It's a great stadium, though.
Yards,
it's a great stadium. I mean, and it's relatively old at this point, but
it is old. I remember when they first built it. It was the stadium. It was the first one that kind of made it kind of retro-y.
Yeah.
Right? It was the first one like that.
Yeah. But it was a great stadium. Now it looks like it's a little rough around the edges, around Camden Yards.
Yeah, Charm City, we call it. We call it Charm City.
I was like, oh, I've seen this place in The Wire.
Yeah. That's, well, speaking of charm, buddy. All right. Yeah. We saw a lot of Lucky Charms. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of close games, a lot of close endings.
Yeah. I think we keep on talking about it. We're seeing a separation of the teams, right? We keep on. Now we're trying to know who these teams are a little bit.
Yeah.
We've been wondering because you're playing out of district what they're going to look like, but I think now you're starting to really the play. Honestly, I think. I mean, and maybe for a different time, I think I can name in Region B the 8 teams that are going to make the playoffs. I think I've got the seeding down. I think I even know who's going to make it, what seed they're going to be. There might be a game two here that might change a little bit, but I think we're starting to see kind of where teams are going to shake out at.
I think you're right, and I was amazed watching some of these games, and the turnover. We talked about the weather.
Yeah.
And what I was surprised at, I'm looking at a lot of the box scores of some of the games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of turnovers. A lot of turnovers. Now, you could argue it was the first, not going to say cold, but it was cool. It was the first cool night.
Yeah.
And that might have, impacted some of the ball handling.
Yeah. Well, that, and you wonder, we know a few coaches who are very heavy into analytics.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of know what you like to do, where you like to throw the football at, where you like to run to. So, I wonder, how many teams are coming out there and kind of have, where a team who's really heavy in analytics and kind of figure things out. They're like, we have an idea where they're going to go. So you have a better chance to get your hat in the football a lot quicker, or picking out the football where it's going to go. So, you wonder if that plays into it as well.
Well, what I can tell you, though, as we get into our top performers of the week, these guys weren't having problems handling the ball.
No, not at all. We had some guys who had some big games in big games.
Yeah, big games in big games.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, let's start from the top. And we're still trying to get help. We don't have all the rosters.
Right.
But we want to give credit where credit is due. And we're not going to let something, kind of, small, like not knowing someone's name get in the way of giving them credit. So, National District, congratulations to the Annandale Adams getting off the tonight, getting their first victory of the season, right?
Yeah.
And in that victory against Justice, in a good game against Justice, their running back, number 8. Number 8
in the program, but he's number 1 in their hearts, isn't he?
Number 1 in our hearts. He was like we said it before, he was like the before the Players Association gave Tecmo Bowl and Madden the rights.
Yeah.
We just call him by his number. We just call him by his number 8, Annandale.
Same thing with Madden, right? Same thing with Madden.
Yeah.
Madden, same thing.
Yeah.
The early Maddens, they just had number, wide receiver number 80.
They just had the number.
Fantastic job, right? Congratulations to Annandale getting themselves that first win of the year. And a pretty high scoring game too, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a high scoring game. Running back, we're gonna get his name. Don't worry, we will get his name. By the time we tweet this out, we'll have this young man's name. He had a big run for a touchdown, running over dudes. He actually threw one too, it looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that. The old LaDainian Tomlinson touchdown pass for the running back.
Congrats to the Adams.
Yeah.
And I wasn't here for the glory days, but I'm sure you're like, there was a day when, Annandale football kind of looked like that week in and week out. So hopefully they're getting themselves back on track a little bit, right?
Yeah, maybe they're bringing it back, baby. All right. Patriot Conference. Man, this guy killed it. Mark Anthony White for West Springfield.
Yeah, I think we've all been waiting for the breakout game from him after the fantastic season he had last year. And when they needed that win, right? He kind of put them on their back and carried them to that win. Congratulations to him. I'm sure he's been looking to have a breakout performance because he had a lot of breakout performances last year.
Oh man, let me go over the stat line real quick.
Okay,
12 carries, 232 yards rushing.
Wow,
2 touchdowns, and then he sprinkled in a little 2 receptions for 46 yards, just for kicks.
Yeah, 20 yards a carry. Can you beat 20 yards a carry?
No,
that's pretty amazing.
As I'm watching that game, I'm like, what are they gonna like? It's going. We know what's gonna happen. We know who's gonna score here, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna break this off. He's gonna have this long run, and sure enough, I'm like, oh my god, because I watched it after the fact, after I knew what happened.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I'm thinking is like I'm watching this, and it's this game and another game we're going to talk about in a little bit. I'm like, don't, just watch that guy. Hey, defense, watch that guy because he's getting the ball.
Well, that and we'll talk about the game earlier. They had to come back.
Yes.
Season was on the line. Was on the line. Down 2 scores. Season is on the line, and it means something when a guy like that is able to kind of help lead you guys back. Lead
back.
For
sure. Yeah, man. Congratulations to young Mark Anthony White.
Mark Anthony Walter White was breaking bad that game.
He was breaking bad against a rival, the Robinson, which we didn't mention against Robinson. Yeah. It's always a tough team. All right, Concord, another one, right? Another one where you got another stud who this is two-time winner, but we had to do it, man. Our man Dominic Nicely.
Yeah, you said you watched that game. He's obviously, there's an elite group of running backs. I think in Northern Virginia this year. It's him. I think Duda at Westfield is probably in that group. Mark Anthony White in that group.
Yeah.
You can't forget about Jeffrey Overton Jr. in that group.
Obviously, yeah.
And then the 2 backs in Cedar Run with Smith and with Jackson. Like you have these 6 backs that are elite running backs.
Elite.
But I think Dominic Nicely is very much rising to the rising to the top out of that group.
Well, you can call him receiver Nicely for this game. He had at least 6 grabs, over 100 yards, maybe almost 200 yards when you combine, rushing, receiving, and kick returning. He had a kick return for a touchdown. The guy did everything.
Go ahead.
No, it was another one that I'm watching. Again, I watched this one knowing what happened, and I'm rewatching it. And I'm like, yo, watch that guy. That guy, look, there's one guy you got to watch, right?
Yeah.
Like, an old special teams guy, right? Don't kick it to that guy. Hey, we're winning. Oh, who should I not kick it to? Him, the best player on the team. Don't kick it to him. We're winning.
Stat line reminds me of an Eric Metcalf stat line.
Yeah.
Right? Remember Eric Metcalf?
He is
kick
Eric
returner,
Metcalf.
Running back, receiver.
That's actually a good pool because he's very Metcalf-ish. That's actually a great pool. Who's also a local guy, by the way.
Is Eric Metcalf a local guy?
Yeah.
Out of where?
Went to the privates. Oh, man. Now you're asking me questions that I don't remember. My brain is mush. Shoot. I don't want to say O'Connell. It's not O'Connell.
If someone out there remembers.
It's local.
I always remember Eric Metcalf. Do you remember Inside the NFL, one of their opening scenes was him in slow motion doing that run? That's why he
Yeah.
always stands out in my memory.
Jerseys just hanging off of him, right?
Yeah, like as he's dancing back and forth in slow motion.
He was so good.
I think, and not to get away from Dominic nicely, but I
Hey,
think
he's a
Eric
Nova
Metcalf,
guy. You could talk about Metcalf.
I think Metcalf it was ahead of his time. I think he plays in today's game. He is a star in the
Right.
team.
I agree with you. Well, just like Nicely's a star.
Just like
right?
Nice is a star for us now.
Yeah. I mean, Nicely made there's this one catch. They throw it up in the air, man, in the back of the end zone. He just jumps up. It's like a 25-yard touchdown pass. Jumps up one-handed, grabs it, keeps his feet in bounds, falls back. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Well, he's a Division I signee. And if you want to know what a Division I football player looks like,
right,
that's what they look like. And to be fair, for anybody who's watching this and, as far as coaching goes, they all look like that.
Yeah.
So I'm Dominic Nicely, phenomenal talent, but that's what a Division I athlete looks like. Makes those kind of plays.
Right. For the guys who are wondering what it looks like. That's what it looks like, right? Yeah, outstanding work to him and Madison. And a huge win against Westfield, by the way.
Oh, huge win. Rivalry
that's
game.
One of those, right. That's one of those where, like, not only did he perform, but like you said earlier, who did he perform against? A rivalry, maybe for the conference.
Probably, right? At this point, you could say Madison may have blocked this thing up after the win against
Wow. So congrats to that young man. All right, Liberty. Give me Liberty or give me a quarterback. Drew Morgan from coming on, baby. Yorktown is coming on.
Just like every year, right? Yorktown kind of coming back to life. And he's a really talented quarterback. And a system that's not the most quarterback friendly system. I mean, and I'm not disrespecting their system, but for him, and he was 12 for 13. One incompletion.
Three touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. So I mean, you could say he threw a touchdown every fourth pass.
Yeah.
Which is
right. Impressive.
He's played well all year and definitely deserving of this week's Player of the Week. And although there were quite a few players, right, who had huge games in the Liberty.
Yeah, there were.
But it looks like he's coming on, and yeah, congratulations to Drew Morgan.
And again, like you'd mentioned, not against they weren't playing some jalopies, right? I mean, they were playing Centerville, which is always a tough team. You're gonna have to you're playing a full football game, 4 quarters again when you play against a Centerville team. Yeah. Good or bad, you're playing against a tough team.
Absolutely, yeah.
And well coached. All right. So congrats to young Drew Morgan, who just got his first offer, by the way, if I believe.
Congratulations.
First Division I offer. I'm pretty sure. So congratulations to him. Probably maybe more coming. All right. Cedar Run. Once again, we got two-time Jackson McCarter against Gainesville when it mattered most, my friend.
Yeah, I believe he had over 100 yards in the second half. I mean, when they were looking, it was 14 and a half, and he was the difference in the second half.
Wow.
I mean, so impressive. So impressive in his performance. Definitely deserving of his offer to Villanova. I'm curious if that'll be. I know he's committed, but you don't sign until your name's on the dotted line. If there are recruiters out there, none listen to the show, but if you know a recruiter, you might want to go after that kid. That kid is the total package.
Yeah, he's special.
Yeah,
he's special. I can't wait to see what guys like him. You mentioned it nicely, and others. Overton do when the weather starts getting nasty out there. Yeah. Weather gets cold, and because we're still seeing a lot of passing. I mean, it was a great night for passing the football, but just wait. We're going to get into running back weather soon.
Oh, absolutely.
So congratulations to young Jackson McCarter stepping up when it mattered most. And Cardinal, which we're going to have the incomparable Carl Frederick talk about this one on later today. But we got Cardinal, you got Denari Hill, QB from Woodbridge, 2 touchdowns. You are a big Woodbridge fan.
Yeah. Well, they were your dark horse. They were your dark horse. You also are cheering.
Yeah, you're right. You sold me. You sold me.
What a huge win, because Forest Park is a really good football team. And a great performance for him. I know he had a 73-yard touchdown pass. He had another pretty long touchdown pass as well. That Woodbridge offense is pretty explosive.
Yeah.
Again, I'll go back to that Battlefield game. I thought they were right in it, but had a couple of really bad breaks in the second quarter, and Battlefield was able to pull ahead.
Yeah.
Woodbridge now looks like they are aiming to get in control of that Cardinal district.
Yeah.
They've got a huge game coming up, and I think we'll talk more about that when we get to
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that one. All right, so finishing up, and that's kind of our top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players of the week, with 2 guys getting their second, bids this season.
Yeah.
But we're not done. We are not done. Your favorite segment, buddy, the highlight of the week. This is kind of a fun one.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about the defenses around the league, and around the district. But let's be honest, the Hayfield defense, is I think they might have given maybe 21 points all year, something like that. I was wondering what the record is for least amount of points scored. So to be able to rip off a big play against that defense is pretty impressive. The senior quarterback from Edison to the senior running back at Edison had I believe a 75-yard pass against arguably, I talk a lot about Battlefield, about being maybe the best defense, but let's be honest, Hayfield is definitely up there, just based on points allowed, what they're able to do defensively. And to be able to get a huge gain off against those guys is really impressive. So yeah, congrats to Edison. Definitely not the night that they wanted. They're hoping to get a back-to-back win against Hayfield over 2 years, but was not to be that night. But they did what they did earn. They earned the highlight of the week on
highlight and I think
podcast.
Yeah, and I think you summed it up well when you say that who you did it against. Now, honestly, that might not be highlight of the week if it's against your neighborhood, like I said, jalopies.
Yeah,
but you did that against those guys.
Yeah,
right. I mean, you knocked down Joe Schmo in a boxing match. That's not going to matter. You knocked down freaking Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
That's worthy of getting a highlight.
Hold on. I'm gonna break out a reference for you because you love the movies. Are you Rocky coming back to the corner and having what's the trainer's name when he goes against Russia? Duke. See, he bleeds. He's just a man.
I'm seeing 3 of them out there. Hit the one in the middle. Yeah, hit the one in the middle.
Right, just a man. Right, just a man.
He bleeds. Yeah, he bleeds. Just like you and I bleed. That's true. That'll be a speech given from now until early December, probably, by some of Hayfield's opponents. All righty. Well, man, that thrilling week of highlights and players of the week, and now we get into the meat of it. Now we got a nice juicy thigh. I'm a thigh guy, by the way. Got a juicy thigh, dark meat. I'm a dark meat guy all the way.
I understand. I am.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Why? I know why. Give me the oyster on a thigh. That little piece of meat on the little. It's the oyster of the chicken.
Is that what it's called? That can't be what
it's called. The pearl. It's called the chicken. Pearl of the chicken.
Is it really?
I think it is. I just make that up. I want to say that it is. The pearl of the chicken.
I feel like part of our podcast is you say something and I'm like, and I doubt you, and then you go, yeah, I don't know.
Well, because again, my brain, especially this early in the morning, and this is an early morning edition, by the way, and it's not even that early. But anything. I'm a night owl, so anything that's like before up, I'm a vampire. But yeah, I could have sworn. All right, so there's a barbecue place. I'm trying to remember now where I might have heard that. There was a barbecue place once upon a time, and they served this what they call the pearl of something, the pearl of chicken something basket, and it was a dish, but just full of that part of the chicken. They would just pull out that little nugget. Yeah, that little nugget that's on that. What bone is that? It's like some kind of clavicle, and you have that little piece of meat there, and you kind of just suck it right off. Oh man, it's fantastic. The pearl of the chicken, is that what it's called? You looking it up?
I am looking it up.
Is it coming up?
Pearl chicken thighs are
pearl chicken. See, there it is.
Hold on, let me read this thing. Served with pearl couscous. No, it's a Moroccan dish.
No, we don't want that. And I like, God bless Moroccan food. I like Moroccan food, but this dish is probably more of a down home barbecue dish. You know what I'm saying? All right. Yeah. Well, speaking of a feast, we had a feast of games. We had the sensational 6 games, and we led things off, my friend, with Patriot and Gainesville, heavyweight match, and it lived up to the hype.
Oh yeah. So the first half I thought was really physical. I mean, I was taken back, just how active they were defensively. Both offenses were back and forth with each other. And 14-14 and a half, I assumed that it was going to be, coming down to the nitty gritty. But man, but Jackson McCarter, we talked a little bit about, nicely in the game, and we'll get to that next. But Jackson McCarter just kind of took over that game.
Yeah.
He was the best player in the field, I thought, and he kind of elevated him. Tough loss for Gainesville. Gainesville just can't seem to get over that hump. And they're a brand new school, and as the years goes on, I'm sure they're gonna ride it. And they have a chance this week when they play Battlefield. What a tough back-to-back series for them. I thought they looked really good, though. I mean, last year's game did not look that close.
Yeah.
Based on what I saw from a year ago, they're closing the gap. But this is their fourth varsity season. Against two pretty established programs in Patriot and Battlefield. I thought they looked really good. Like I said, physically, I thought Gainesville defense kind of looked like the real deal in the first half. But then, Jackson McCarter just kind of took over in the second half. Great performance by him. That's why he was our, a back-to-back player of the week. It was undeniable in that game. But I think it lived up to the hype. Definitely, was a nip and tuck game. 14 unanswered in the second half, but against a Patriot team that has aspirations as a state title. Yeah. And I think moving into the playoffs, it kind of tells you, hey, we were really close to knocking them off, because my guess is we're going to see that matchup again. I mean, odds are that could be the 2-3 matchup in the second round, I think this year.
I was going to ask you, do you, by chance, if you don't have it, no big deal, do you have a list of turnovers for that game? Like who, or do you know how many turned the ball over on one team and how many the other team turned
I
over?
I don't have a list of turnovers.
I'm guessing it wasn't turnover free.
Oh wait, I remember Gainesville did give the ball up once on early on in the game. I do remember that.
Yeah, and we'll get back to that later on. And I wonder if that ended up being a factor later on. I mean, turnover is always kind of a factor, but it's interesting to see. We're going to see some rematches. That's the cool thing about this week is we are going to see some rematches, and there's a possibility that we will see a rematch here as well.
Yeah, and the old football rule, right? It's hard to be a team twice in football.
Yeah,
it's hard to be a team twice, and especially a team as talented as Gainesville.
And we talked about this game. We kind of our breakdown part of it was what defense shows up, and so I guess in the second half, on top of McCarter, putting it in extra
Patriot,
gear,
100%.
But the Patriot defense stepped up, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, what a game! And like you said, and then now you got Battlefield a week later, right? Yeah. I mean, for Gainesville, right? They have Battlefield.
Yeah, Gainesville got Battlefield, and this is definitely a make or break for them as far as seeding goes in the playoffs.
It really is. It really is. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens there.
I hear the knock at the door. Who could it be? Is it Dean Martin?
What up, guys?
There he is. There he is. He won the only
How we doing on the
comparable Carl Frederick, Adam Schefter of Nova. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. It's a beautiful Saturday. We got beautiful weather for football all day. I'm heading out to catch Flint Hill here in a bit, hoping they can get their first victory of the season, but I can't complain. My boys are with me. I got no complaints, fellas. How you guys doing?
Oh man, no, we're doing good. Talking football.
Awesome. Nothing better. Did you guys talk about the? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so we'll set you up here because I know you got more football because you are Mr. Football to catch. But we just finished talking the battle of Cedar Run. We talked Patriot Gainesville, and we were going to go another game next, but we are lucky to catch you in the middle of action. So we are going to get you to talk about a game you were at on Friday night. Go ahead and let us know all about it.
Yeah. So me and my big man, me and Eduardo, my oldest 11-year-old, we went out to Woodbridge to catch a big battle in the Cardinal district between Forest Park and Woodbridge. And as you guys saw, and Woodbridge pulled it off. It was a really impressive defensive performance by the Vikings. They held that vaunted rushing attack that Forest Park has behind the Division I linemen and their all-star running back Landon Hunt. They really kept him in check all night. Forest Park didn't score after early in the second quarter in this game. Woodbridge kept them off the scoreboard the rest of the game. They were getting after the quarterback. They did a great job of seeing Landon Hunt. They had a couple of big fourth down stops. And Woodbridge, I liked your guys' tweet the other day. Whoever's going to win the Cardinal District, it's going to have to go through Woodbridge. I couldn't agree more.
Wow.
So when they held it, the Forest Park run game is really impressive. I mean, would you say that any players on Woodbridge stood out, or was it scheme? I mean, what were they doing exactly to kind of hold that really good running attack? I mean, one might be one of the best. And I think I left out Landon Hunt when we were talking about best backs in the area. Which I didn't mean to oversight. So I mean, what was your observation as far as what they're able to do against a really good running attack at Forest Park?
Yeah, they were doing what I think the way to beat Forest Park, and it's easier said than done because they have maybe the biggest offensive line in the state. They were stacking 8-9 defenders in the box, and Coach Longerbeam had a plan that they weren't going to let what they were Forest Park is best at. Like he told me in the interview, that they weren't going to let them beat them, so they were stacking 9 guys in the box and forcing Forest Park to throw. And they're like I told you guys before, Forest Park's passing game is lacking, and when you could shut down their running game, you got a chance. And Woodbridge had a great defensive plan, and now Landon Hunt still did his thing. He broke a 63-yard run early. That was thanks to a lot of nifty maneuvers by him, but Woodbridge defensively had a great plan, and they were getting after the quarterback when he did throw. They had I counted about 4 or 5 sacks, a bunch of tackles for losses. They stopped Hunt on 2 different fourth and short scenarios. One was after the biggest thing in the game. It was 17-15, and Coach Longerbeam from their own 35. He admitted to me afterwards he made a mistake, and he called a fake punt that fell short, and it set up Forest Park right at the Woodbridge 35-yard line. A couple plays later, on I believe 4th and 2 from the 27, Forest Park went right up the middle with Landon Hunt, and before even Hunt got the football, Woodbridge had 4 or 5 defenders in the backfield stuffing him. And in the very next play, you're talking about standouts. The very next play, Denari Hill hit Amana Massaquoi, who's a big-time target for him and looks like he's the real deal from Alexandria City. He takes a 73-yard screen pass to the house, and that ended up being the difference in the game.
I think we have a back like Landon Hunt. You have to realize that he's going to get you once. I mean, I think you have a kid that talented.
Yeah.
You got to realize he's going to get you once, right? I mean, the odds are you're not going to shut a kid like that down throughout the whole game. So I think that. I mean, you gotta kind of live with that, and if you're able to keeping a run team off schedule is so. And we'll get into the Marshall game, but if you can keep a team that's heavy run to 3rd and longs, now all of a sudden they can't do the thing that they really want to do.
Yeah, absolutely, and it threw him off early, and like you said, Coach, Hunt he broke one early in the game. It was that was midway through that was their last touchdown. That was actually Forest Park's last touchdown was late in the first quarter. Now that I remember, because Kellen Lewis set up their first touchdown. But Hunt got his, and that was it. The rest of the game, they held him in check, and he is one of the best backs in the state.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this: were there opportunities in the pass game that just they couldn't hit, or were they not even attempting the pass game?
No, they were. They just couldn't hit it. I mean,
okay.
Like I've told you guys, Forest Park's passing game it's not, it's lacking. I don't want to say it's below average, but you could tell when Coach Robin has to throw, it's at their disadvantage. They picked off a couple of I counted 2 interceptions, including one late in the game from Woodbridge's secondary, which was really impressive all night. So they were trying especially once they got behind 24-15, they couldn't run, their offense, because by that point, there was only so much left in the game. So they were trying, they just couldn't, whether it was Fossum or Lewis under center. I know Forest Park kind of likes to mix up the quarterbacks. they couldn't get anything going in the passing game, and it cost them. It cost them a game that they probably should have won.
Wow. Well, I mean, Woodbridge is on the list, man. We'll get into that list later, but Woodbridge now is definitely a team to look out for, huh? Officially.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they have a really good. I knew this last year too, covering them. They have a lot of good pieces in their freshman and sophomore classes. I mean, Denari Hill, like you guys have mentioned before, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the state. He had a really good evening. He did throw an interception late, but I mean, that was more like it was more like a punt. He threw it like from the 40, and I believe the Forest Park defender caught it around the 15. But he was really accurate most of the night, taking care of the football. He's a big time get. He's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the state in these next couple of years. Marquise Sharp, he had a touchdown run. He's a freshman for them. Yeah, wow. Woodbridge is building something there, and like you guys said, the Cardinal District goes through the Vikings.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Does Landon Hunt have any offers?
So he has a few. I know he's going to Robert Morris this weekend. I'm hoping they, pull the trigger and offer him. He deserves that. I know Stevenson University offered him last year. He has a few Division III and Division II offers. I'm hoping he gets some more FCS opportunities, which I know Robert Morris is very interested. So I think before the season is done, he'll have a few Division I AA offers. He deserves it.
Yeah, good for him.
Awesome.
Now, he's a great kid. If you guys get a chance to meet him, he's one of my most favorite kids to cover. Him and his family are great. They're really, presentable and enjoyable to speak with. Even Landon, when I came up to him after the game just to say hello, he gave my son a high five. That goes a long way. He's a great kid. So if you get him on the podcast, you guys will enjoy it.
Well, you always hope that kids like that get a chance. I mean, kids who are really good.
Absolutely.
Kids got to get a chance. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's easy to root for, just like Aiden was. It makes my job easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, we're about to get into Westfield, Madison. Actually, I don't know if you want to stick around or you got to go because you're going to watch Flint Hill.
We'll go. I'll stick around. This Madison matchup. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, and then I'll probably head out after that to catch Flint Hill. I'm hoping they get their first victory today. But yeah, did either of you guys catch the Madison game? And another impressive performance, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, not live. We watched it on the good old feed afterward. Been watching nonstop games.
Nice.
I'll tell you what. I mean, that's why I asked Coach Mesa earlier about the turnovers in that game, and you mentioned some key turnovers by Forest Park in the passing game early on.
Right.
There was a theme, and the team that had that, and it's not rocket science, right? I mean, whoever has more turnovers is probably going to lose, and I felt like that the key turnovers. Madison had a key interception early in that game.
By Salvosa. Yeah, the linebacker, right?
Yes.
Salvosa.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a battle of big plays. I mean, you had Duda for Westfield. I mean, he'd make a big play, then nicely would come right back and make a big play. I mean, it was just back and forth. Things got crazy at the end of the game, though, right? I mean, Westfield takes the lead, and I'm watching with I was watching actually at a different game, but I'm watching with a Madison lacrosse coach at that game, and so we got it on the feed watching it live, and he's a Madison fan, so he's kind of like, oh man, I don't know. Madison at this point was down, and they're getting the ball with a few minutes to go in the game, and they got to travel 70 yards. And he's like, this offense is not built against a good team like Westfield to travel and score with a few minutes to go. And sure enough, who do they get the ball to?
Yep.
Down nicely. I mean, on a big play, gets them down to the, within the 5-yard line, and they score a few minutes, or a couple of moments later, they score. And that was a ball game. I mean, when they needed in a tough game, when they needed a big play at any moment, from first quarter to fourth quarter, nicely was getting the ball.
I mean, that's the key part of any sport is getting the ball into your playmaker's hands, right? Figuring out a way how to get one of your best ball player the ball in his hands, because you don't want to be second guessing yourself. I mean, coaching wise, at least for myself, you don't want to be like, man, I should have got the ball in my guy's hands, as opposed to don't overthink it, right? Don't overthink it.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yates made a couple
Yeah.
huge passes. There's the one touchdown pass to Nicely. Yates rolls right. I mean, he's under duress. I mean, you think he's going to take off and run, and then he kind of pulls up and throws it.
I saw that.
Did you
replay.
see that? And that one-handed catch by Nicely in the back of the end zone?
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, that Nicely. I mean, there's a reason. Coastal Carolina can't wait for him to get there. He's a playmaker, and he's doing it all for their offense too. But guys, like I told you a couple weeks ago, Cale Yates, who was awesome for them last year, is much improved from a year ago. I mean, that play alone shows that he's ready to play college football. I know exactly the player you're talking about. And how about Madison's defense? It seems like every week I'm writing about like a new defender making a play. Like weeks before, it was Caden Green, Jackson Ambrose. Now we got this Luke Silvolsa kid who looks like a big-time junior linebacker too. He had that key interception. And because, looking at that game, like just looking at some of the stats, you guys know Westfield had more total yards and probably kicking themselves for not winning this contest. But this is just kind of that Madison magic these last couple of years. They just find ways to win.
Well, and if you look at it, these stars, Duda and Nicely and these linebackers from Madison, these guys are going to do their thing right in the game. The one thing that you maybe can prevent, right, is a special teams thing, right? Like, don't kick it to that guy, right? And that 90 some odd yard touchdown return by Nicely, that's probably that's the difference maker right there in the game.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge statement for Madison, the fact that when the offense had to win the game, right? I mean, for the most part, they feel like you can rely on that defense to kind of keep offenses shut down. But when they had to have it, they were able to respond and score points, which I think moving to the playoffs is going to be a huge factor for them. Now,
I will say this though, in a great game, West Springfield. I mean, they've gotten better and better every week. They are a legitimate team. And I would not want, if I'm anyone in that
Westfield,
region.
Westfield.
What did I say?
West Springfield.
Sorry, they both start with W's, and they both have West in the name. Come on, Adam West. All right. Look, I would not want to play Westfield in the playoffs. If I'm almost any team in that region.
Yeah, they're a blue.
Nah,
right?
I agree.
They know how to play.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah. Well, no, Westfield is legit. I mean, they have to be kicking themselves for not winning that game. I mean, maybe not kick the ball to one of the top backs in the country, and maybe they do win that game, but that's another thing. But yeah, I agree. Westfield is going to be a tough out in the playoffs. I also I see your guys' tweets. I mean, I think you all are sleeping on Fairfax a little bit. I think they're going to be a tough out too if they sneak into the playoffs. I really do believe that.
You son of a gun! No, I was always I've been talking up Fairfax for a while. Matter of fact, I keep talking about that the freaking three-headed monster at running back they have there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they are actually. I mean, now it seems like Murad's selling in at quarterback too. I think they're going to be a tough out.
Well, aren't they a four-headed monster now?
You got Momin.
I thought both of Moments. Aren't there two Moments?
Yeah, the other Moment doesn't.
Yeah, they have two Moments.
Yeah, he doesn't carry the ball as much as the other one.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah, the one makes plays defensively.
Yeah.
Eamon did he have 3 touchdowns or 4 the other night?
Look, he might have had 4, but he had 3 in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah. I didn't want to bring it up, but I know that hurts. But they have those two. They have Penn Morris. They have Maltese, who I've told you guys know about. He's their power back. And is Ethan Lynch back yet?
He is.
Lynch is back,
okay.
and Penn Morris is the one that and we haven't gotten to the Fairfax game yet, but I actually have them pretty high on my power rankings this week, which is a little tease right there.
Oh, okay.
But Penn Morris is the one that I walked away going, oh my God, who was that kid? Looked like Barry Sanders the way he was dodging dudes.
Yeah, he's a quick playmaker. They got speed, and they do. Now that I think that Nick Murad is settling in at quarterback too. You guys saw it the other night, but he seems more comfortable, at least in the last couple of weeks. I think as the season goes on, Fairfax is going to be a tough out defensively. They don't air much. They're surefire tacklers. They great turnovers. Yeah, I've been impressed with Fairfax since their early stumble against Oakton.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially if the weather, if I'm the Fairfax coaches, I am doing, rain dances, and I'm doing all types of weather dances. And I want the worst weather in the month of November in the history of Northern Virginia. Because I think they are, no, they're built like they're mutters, right? They're built like mutters. Their mutter was a mutter. Yeah. Okay. I mean, they want, bad weather, and they just want to freaking run the ball down your throat.
Yeah. They probably want like the natural disasters that are happening in Florida and North Carolina to make their way up this way.
When he said natural disasters, I thought he was talking about earthquake and tugboat.
Yeah. We're about to get into W&L versus Marshall. I don't know if you want to stick around for that one, or if you guys have to go.
I'm over here in Alexandria now, so we got about a 25-minute commute to Flint Hill, so I probably should get rolling here soon. But I did want to thank you guys for letting me come on for the Woodbridge recap, and also talking more of the local schools too. But I should get out to Flint Hill. I'd already messaged a couple of guys that we were on our way.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Hey, we always appreciate having you on.
Yeah,
you're always welcome whenever. You know that.
Heck yeah. All right, sounds good, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks again. We got Prep Red Zones, Carl Frederick, the Adam Schefter of Nova Football.
Thank you. I'm honored you still let me come on. Now you guys are famous being on TV and everything.
We're men of the people. Men of the people.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks again.
All right.
I'll check in with you guys later.
All right, Carl. Thanks, buddy.
See you.
All right. Well, that's the best, the one, the only Carl Frederick. Nova's Adam Schefter joining us. Let's get right into W&L versus Marshall. I mean, that was maybe for the Liberty District. Maybe. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think so. I think, just based on it, right? I mean, W&L's beaten the heavyweights in that district. I mean, they haven't played Langley yet, right? So Langley is kind of the last chance to get over the hump. And I'm not sure do we know what week they play each other?
It's late. I'm almost positive that it's pretty late. You take a little peek at that.
I am going to take a look at that. But that game was so shocking in the fact that that was not the game that we thought that was going to be. I'll tell you my takeaways. My main takeaway. Now, we know a lot about the W&L offense.
Yeah.
But W&L's defense looked really physical. I didn't realize they were able to match that kind of physicality with Marshall. And kind of like, we talk about the Forest Park game. If you can keep a team like that who is heavy run, my guess is they are 85 to 90% run. If you can keep them off schedule and turn them into a third and long team, they're gonna have a really long night because they don't get away from that triple option. That's their identity, and I get it. But then you're down 28-0 in early in the second quarter, and can you chip away at that lead? You're already having really issues with their offense. W&L looks like they have a real good chance to make a run, not just in the district but in the region. To kind of put it together like that. They beat Marshall worse than a team that we're both are very high on in Madison. They beat them down pretty well, which I thought was really impressive.
Yeah, we talk about boxing a lot. I feel like it had some elements of Tyson Spinks in here. I mean, we thought we were getting this big.
That was back of my head.
Yeah, and we just realized that just one's not ready yet. He's not there yet. And Marshall's still a good team, and they are on the rise. All that positivity towards Marshall still stands.
Right.
They just weren't in that class yet.
Right.
They weren't.
And you get them a second time, right? Let's say you get them a second time in the playoffs. Now you kind of learn from your mistakes.
Right.
So I'm sure they'll have a game plan for them then. But that was not Marshall's night. That was it was almost like a coronation is what it kind of felt like for that district.
And I just feel like also, like, and you said it already with the Forest Park thing, when teams like that, you get behind early, what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to be able to pass your way back into it?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it might be a wrap.
Yeah, and you're leaning so heavily on your defense to get stops.
Yeah,
especially because you're not a quick strike offense.
Yeah,
you're not a quick strike offense. You can't score in a hurry because you're not throwing the ball downfield. It takes a minute for the triple option to get going, and by the time he got I don't think it ever really got going in that game.
Right.
It was too little, too late for them. But Marshall again, I think is a really talented football team. I think they showed it in their fight against Madison, but it definitely was not their night on Thursday.
Right. And then so now WNL has defeated Herndon. They've defeated Marshall.
Yeah.
Right. They haven't played Langley yet.
They have not played Langley. No, they play Langley week 10.
Now Langley with its one loss.
Yeah.
Right. One loss, Langley. Still some, a lot of games to be played though these next few weeks, but that's one where if you're Langley, you can just stay with that one loss. You can't lose another one though.
It's Langley Yorktown though next week. Langley better not look ahead.
Yorktown's another one that's still in it. Yorktown's still in it too, because Yorktown still has a chance against. No, that was the one they already played W now.
They already
played W now. Langley's the last man standing, but if you're W now, you're pulling for anyone to beat Langley at that point. And then you got that buffer.
Right. Yeah. If you can get there. Yeah. Because right now, they are 3 wins away from popping the champagne and being an undefeated season.
Yeah. We know Coach Shula, Coach, our Mr. Bonacani and the rest of the crew, they're up there by the pearly gates.
Yeah.
And they are definitely rooting against all these teams to go undefeated.
Well, if they can beat them, we may be looking at we talk about the collision course between Madison and Hayfield. You might be looking at collision course in the region final between WNL and Madison.
Yeah, that'd be a heck of a game.
Yeah,
that'd be a heck of a game. Style of two different styles for a contrast.
And another set of flowers for WNL. Everyone was really unsure how they were going to do, losing so many players from last year, and it looks like the WNL program has figured it out. And,
yeah,
to go, what did they do last season? They were undefeated. Right now they're undefeated. Last year they lost 1 game last year.
Right.
So, if they're able to run the table, you're talking a 19-1 record over the last 2 years of the season. That's
kudos to the coaching staff, to Coach Ludwig, the mad scientist calling the plays, all that stuff. They're and Coach Frederick talked about overlooking some teams. I don't know why he mentioned Fairfax. We've been very bullish on Fairfax. A team that has been overlooked, I think, by a lot of people, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, is WNL.
Yeah, I agree.
WNL has been overlooked, and if we've overlooked WNL, we apologize because we're believers now.
Well, I think there is a stigma that the 2 big conferences are the Patriot and the Concord.
Yeah,
the Liberty and the National just don't get the same kind of respect.
Right.
They think, it's Patriot and Concord are varsity football, Liberty and National are JV football.
Right.
I think there's a stigma on those 2, and I think WNL is trying to flip the script on that.
Yeah, and that stigma, it probably exists because there's probably buffoons out there calling one conference the Big Ten, the other conference, the SEC. Bunch of morons.
Yeah, those podcasters don't know anything.
But yeah, congrats to WNL. Outstanding. They're must-see TV the rest of the way, actually.
Oh, absolutely.
They really are.
And it looks like they can play on both sides of football now, right?
Yes. All right, moving on. Number 4 of our games to watch last week was Chantilly Herndon. Another kind of, don't want to say Spinks. Tyson, it went a little longer than that. Maybe Tyson, Razor Ruddick. Yeah. It went a little bit longer, but after halftime, it was pretty much a wrap.
Yeah, and both teams really trying to get that win they got to that 4 win. Right? No, to get the 5 wins, right? To get to that 5th win, because 5 normally gets you in. And I know neither one of the teams' goal is just to get in the dance, especially Herndon, who I think has really high aspirations this year. But both those teams, it was kind of not a must-win game, but a game to kind of give yourself some breathing room in case something else happens during the season.
Well, actually, I'll go a step further. I'll call it. I think I did call it. I called it a must-win game for Herndon last week. I'll be totally honest. And it wasn't must-win in terms of making the playoffs must-win. I felt it was a must-win, a need that Herndon needed on its resume.
Yeah,
I think Herndon needed it on its resume. They didn't have it. They didn't have too many quality wins, and this was a quality Chantilly team. and Herndon got what they needed to do. I think they did it. They did it behind our man Bueller with 2 touchdowns. Johnny Callow, not Gallo, 2 more touchdowns by him. Braden Humphreys touchdown. Braden Humphreys, he's the straw that stirs the drink over there. Noah Martin with an interception. A great effort on team defense. They didn't allow any points, I don't think, in the second half from Chantilly. So that was a rocking and rolling performance, and that's what Herndon needed from their guys. Now, Sahir Mandry played okay, but second half they shut it down, man. They did a good job shutting Chantilly down in the second half.
Yeah, well, and I think they really needed the win because they closed the season last 2 games against Marshall, against Yorktown.
Yeah,
and I think they can win both those games, but those are really tough games. And one of those games where, like, you think to yourself, well, let's come out there with a 1-1 split, right? Come 1-1 split. Right. That's 6 wins. They got a McLean team who's pretty good,
right?
But to try to get that, because you want to get that home playoff game. I know last year they did not have a home playoff game, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they did. I might be wrong. I feel like they did last year. So they definitely need that 1-1 split. In right. Chantilly, closed the season with Centerville, Westfield, and Oakton.
Yep.
And that, I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think that Oakton Chantilly game might be for a playoff spot. I think that might be one of those last game of the game, last game of the year, actual playoff game. A winning.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
So I think, we've been saying it. I think Liberty is must see TV the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And there's not very many conferences you could say that about. I mean, let's look right now. We know National's not must see TV the rest of the way in terms of, I'm talking about in terms of who's going to win the conference.
Right.
That's not. Patriot might be.
Yeah.
Patriot might be. We'll get to that in a few minutes. It looks like with this Westfield Madison game, it might no longer be.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have Liberty, which is totally wide open still.
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right, man. And then the final of our sensational 6 games was the one that no one thought, and it also lived up to the hype. South County AC. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 8-0 game.
Wow.
Although that game was close last year. Now,
in the first half, it was close.
No, it was close all the way to the fourth quarter, and then South County exploded for 26 points.
Okay.
They just didn't do that this time.
Right.
I know. We talk a lot about moral victories, and I'm sure that AC may come out with their head held high.
Right.
They were so close. They were so close. But credit to Coach Pannoni and his staff for essentially that might have been a season-saving victory right there.
Wow, it was.
Getting that W. I know they played someone else at quarterback last week. I couldn't catch his number. It was kind of tough to see on the NFHS thing.
Yeah. It was not surprising. It was not Orth, surprisingly. He played a lot of receiver. He had a good game at slot, which is his natural position, obviously.
Well, he was an all-region receiver, right?
Right, but I was surprised, and I know you watched it. I didn't watch it, but looking at that score and then knowing that Orth did not play quarterback the whole game, I wonder if next week they move him back. Maybe not, but it looked like offensively they were doing a little more with him there.
Yeah, but credit South County's defense, right? To pitch a shutout against a really good run team. Against a really strong run team to be able to do that, right? If they don't pitch a shutout, they don't win.
I know, isn't that wild? Yeah, and we got to give credit to AC. Look, AC's coming off 2 wins, and that's a moral victory. I don't care what anyone says. To play South County, if you're AC and you play South County to an 8-0 game, that's impressive stuff.
Yeah, especially after the season they had last season, and
yes.
Yeah, so no, yeah.
And they were on an 0-14 streak like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So yeah, tough one, but congratulations to Coach Pannoni and his staff out there.
Getting off the schneid.
Getting back in the win column, and Hunter Malecki and that defense. They could have been the player of the week just off that performance right there, right? Season-saving performance by the South County defense.
Yeah, no, that's true. All right, man. Well, that was a sensational 6, and it really did this week live up to the hype and the billing, right? I mean, it was amazing stuff. Other kind of noteworthy games, the West Springfield Robinson game. We talked about that last week, and we said if we were going to do a sensational 7, that might have been on there. Well, I mean, that game also lived up. I mean, that was a close game. Robinson was up early. West Springfield comes back. Then Robinson has a chance at the end of the game to kind of they take the lead actually at the end of the game. It was and then West Springfield had the ball with less than a minute to go in the game, down to Robinson 10. They throw a touchdown pass and they win the game 33-28. I mean, we call West Springfield lived up once again to the Cardiac Kids.
Yeah. It was a great game between the two. And we talked before about season-saving victories. This may have been a season-saving victory for them because West Springfield still has Fairfax and Lake Braddock on the schedule, and they're at both those games. Those are not home games for them. They're going to be on the road. This definitely is not the season that I think West Springfield kind of envisioned for themselves, but I think they may be at the point that are now where they're like, let's just get in the dance. Let's just get in the dance and see where it plays out for them. So I think I'm sure they're in that mode right now. They're very close to being in the mode where they're thinking to themselves, this is a playoff game every week. I mean, they South County, I think, maybe in that mindset right now, be like, this is every week. This is a semi-playoff game. I'm sure they look at the standings, look at the PowerPoints, and think to themselves, oh man, we've got some work to do. Yeah,
they have the tools, they have the talent to do it.
Oh yeah.
And look, they said, look, we're not gonna overthink things. A must-win game, and who do they get the ball to? They get the ball to White, right? Their best player, and he has his best game of the season, right? A big player stepping up in a big game. And Robinson, I mean, I was getting blown up during the game by coaches, people watching saying, hey, I think Robinson's back. Coach Blair is doing the right things over there. So the fact that that a year ago this game isn't even this close, right? I mean, I think Robinson found something. And they're turning things around.
Well, but also I think they're also in the playoff now mode. I mean,
they are.
They got 4 games left. They also have Lake Braddock and Fairfax on the schedule. So I think they're very much also in the we've got to rattle off. And right, 5 is usually the magic number.
Right.
And right now they're at 2.
Right.
They need to win 3 out of the 4 games. To kind of think to themselves, okay, I think we're safe and we're in.
Right. And talk about the turnover game. There was actually quite a few turnovers in this game. I was watching it. West Springfield had a handful. Robinson had a couple. I mean, there was turnovers on both sides of the game. But it always helps when it's even, right? If I'm turning the ball over a few times, help me out there, Mesa. Why don't if you guys turn it over a few times, we can just call it even. And that always helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, good battle there, man. Now, the game of the night, there were so many of them. The game of the night might have ended up being, right now we got 2 Cardiac Kids. All right, it's West Springfield and Oakton. Oakton is the other Cardiac Kids, man. They do this every game.
Yeah.
Oakton and West Potomac, what a game. Yeah. What a game.
Well, I mean, just looking at it, Oakton is, you could probably, in total game time, a minute away from being 5-1.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so close, right? The last second loss to West Springfield.
Right.
The last second loss to Centerville.
Right.
And then, I mean, they're so close. I mean, they're right at the edge right there, right?
Yeah,
right? And you watched that game, so give me some of your feedback on that.
I mean, Oakton has the early lead, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, well, they're gonna, maybe they don't have another nail biting finish, right? And they had the lead up until the 4th quarter. West Potomac ties this game up with the clock wasn't working on the feed, so I'm trying to do the math and like, okay, how much time is left in this game? It wasn't very much time left in the game. West Post scores and ties it up. Now, pretty fun stuff. This is the kind of that armchair quarterbacks and coaches like talking about. The game's almost over. There's probably a minute left or so. Do you go for 2? Do you go for 2 and just win it right now? You got all the momentum. Do you kick it? And sometimes kicking in high school, let alone high school, college even, isn't a lock. Yeah. Or do you kick it and tie it and probably send it to overtime? What do you think they did? What did West Po do? game on the line, minute to go. Do they kick the extra point?
Well, you're asking me, and I know the answer.
You son of a gun.
I will say this. One, I do like going for two to win the game. I think if you put the ball in my hands and I have a chance to end the game, but that's only if you're prepared to do that. So have you spent a week during the week been like, okay, if we got to go for two, this is our 2-point play. Trying to draw it up or trying to call it up on the fly can get really risky.
Yeah.
But I think coaching wise, I think you need to have that 2-point play. Practice. I know. The first year that I was calling the offense at Woodson. Remember, every now and then we go down there and they're like, okay, if we're gonna go for two, this is a 2-point play. We're gonna run it a few times. The kids are kind of comfortable with it. Trying to call it on the fly sometimes can be a mistake. Just because you're not ready for it, and then if they don't run it correctly, or if it's not a play that you've done a bunch of times, it can be a mistake.
Right.
I am in favor. As you know, Coach Dash, I'm rather aggressive in my play calling style.
Yeah.
So, I think to myself, look, if I got a chance to win it, man, let's just win it now. Let's win it now and go home. I would rather do that in the game of my hands as opposed to being like, okay, well, let's play for overtime. Let's.
Well, on that note, they did. They came out and they were going to go for two. It looked like.
Yeah.
They lined up for it, and then they called the timeout. And I guess they kind of, and what you see a lot, they kind of talked about it and probably talked themselves out of it, and they kicked the point. They kicked the kick. They made it though. They made the kick, so no issues there. Goes into overtime. That's the other debate. We got a few debates here. The other debate is do you now I thought they won it. Maybe they didn't win it. Maybe Oakton won. Maybe Oakton won the toss. But either way, Westfield gets the ball first.
Yeah.
Right. And it looks like they're going to score. I mean, we know Sanchez. He's a stud.
Yeah.
Quarterback from Westfield. And he's kind of rolling right. Looks like he's going to he might be able to score. If not, maybe, he goes down to the 1 or 2, maybe. Very reminiscent as a Raider fan to the, there was a game against the Raiders and Cowboys a couple years ago when Derek Carr was rolling near the end zone and the ball just kind of popped out of Derek Carr's hands and the Cowboys recovered it. The ball just kind of, I don't know if anyone caused it or if it just kind of, it was a cold night. Talk about the ball handling on a cold night.
Was he doing one of these? Was he doing the
No, he wasn't that far yet, but he's a quarterback. So he's got one hand on the ball, right? And he's kind of doing one of these and running, and the ball just kind of pops out, and Oakton recovers it. And that was a wrap. They ran, I think, one play and kicked the field goal in overtime. And the cardiac kids, man, the cardiac Cougars.
Yeah, you must be pretty confident in your kicker because I don't know you, man. I would run all 3 plays. I would run. I wouldn't throw the ball. I would run 3 plays, but there's no way I'm going to leave it up to a high school kicker because
I was thinking that
it might do one of these. it might do one of these. And
that's a fair point. And as I'm watching it again, cheating. I know who won as I'm watching it. So as I'm watching the feed, because I wasn't watching it live, I was watching it the next morning. So I'm like, no way. Like I would have run it too. And especially considering, I think, and kudos to that young man and the coaches ever having faith in him, right? Because they lost a game off a missed kick, the West Springfield game that Oakton probably should have won. And to your point, you could argue that Oakton could be undefeated.
Yeah, I mean they're right there. Yeah, Coach Slate's doing a phenomenal job over there.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
They looks like they got themselves a guy that looks like that. Again, you may see a reemergence, right, of the Oakton Cougars.
Yeah, and if I could buy if buying coaches and buying programs were stocks, I'm buying a ton of Slay stock.
Yeah,
I would have treated it like Amazon at 20, 30 years ago. I would have bought a ton of Slay stock.
Maybe if I decide I want to jump back on the horse, maybe Coach Slay will bring him on his staff. Maybe
there you go.
Figure out what's going on over there.
There you go.
Yeah.
You front runner, you. All right. So breaking down kind of some of the other games, Yorktown, impressive win by Yorktown. Holy smokes.
As the weather gets colder, Yorktown gets better, right?
They do, like a fine Sauvignon Blanc. I mean, just get better and better every. I don't know how my French came across on that one, but they just a fine wine at Yorktown, get better and better every week.
Yeah.
Hayfield, with the big win there,
and the return of Juju Preston, right?
Yes.
So Falls Church.
Sorry, Edison.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why I said
Edison.
That's my fault.
The one takeaway from there from me is you just brought in essentially a first round receiver, right? You just brought in a first round receiver. It'd be like the NFL, right? Where all of a sudden, in the middle of the season, you sign, an all pro, you make a trade for the all pro wide receiver and line up against your other all pro wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's going to be so tough to defend with him on one side, Press on the other side. And here's my other point is now you've also brought in a top flight defensive player as well.
Right.
Add to that defense. So, I mean, what more can you say, right? Hayfield is pretty talented.
Yeah. I mean, and that what they call that the Bird Bowl. And Edison won it last year, right? So, Hayfield kind of, I guess you could say, kind of gets their revenge, sort of. I mean, I guess you could say that. Not that they needed to get revenge this year, but very impressive. I mean, very impressive. They're rocking and rolling right now. They really are. Next game up, we had Lewis and TJ.
Yeah.
Look at TJ played tough.
Yeah, they did. High scoring game. Those guys were able to do the math on that stuff, right? They're probably able to figure out what the square root of that stuff is. But that's been a year in year out game with Lewis and TJ, right?
Yeah,
and they're relatively close to each other, right? As far as proximity,
right?
Isn't Lewis and TJ? I believe they're kind of close in proximity. So, hats off to Lewis, right? Getting that win against TJ, and hats off to TJ for playing such a close game with them.
Yeah, that's true. And Coach Choates, that's not easy to do. That's not easy to do. You're playing a team like TJ has nothing to lose in that game, right? So getting these guys ready for that one and pulling it out in a high scoring game, man. High scoring game. That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Langley and a little bit of a scare for Langley against Wakefield.
Yeah. I mean, they had to come back. They were down at the half against that. But we keep on hearing that Wakefield has some speed. They have some speed over there. And I know the only year that I've coached against them, that we were on the staff with them, they had some guys who were skill guys. I mean, they had some big guys too, don't get me wrong. They had some big dudes up front, but they had some skill guys. And it sounds like, and I know at the lower levels, Wakefield got wins against Westfield lower levels.
Yeah, I heard their lower levels are killing it.
Yeah. So next year in the Liberty, it's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. It's going to be a battle royal in there, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Kudos to Coach Martin for kind of getting things right over there. But Langley, let's not, even though it was close, they showed, that's who they are. It's what they do. Langley's gonna, they're not gonna blink.
Yeah,
they're gonna stay the course, and they pulled it out. So, and Langley, like you said, Liberty's got some games next week, and Langley's involved in one of them.
Now, could Wakefield be a spoiler at the end of the season against somebody? They have
a chance, right? If you're Wakefield, you're looking at teams like Marshall a year ago, right?
Yeah, that's Marshall, that's
right.
100%. No, I agree.
Marshall was kind of a spoiler at the end of last year, and it carried over into this year, obviously.
Yeah. No, that's probably the best comp. They're looking at that.
Yeah, for sure.
And they play both Marshall and W&L at the end of the season.
There you go. They can play spoiler for sure.
Yeah.
Justice and Annandale, man, another fun one.
Yeah. Definitely in the national kind of teams kind of getting right to themselves, and those teams are fighting for a playoff spot too, right? 5 will get you in, and if you can make a run in that district, you have a really good chance to make the playoffs.
Right, but yeah, things are hopefully both those teams kind of take that and kind of build week by week. We got
Mount Vernon Falls Church.
Yeah,
so Mount Vernon has a big win. Mount Vernon's another team, right? That's looking. They're at 3 wins. They're at 3 wins. If they can get a couple more wins in there, they definitely have a chance to make a back to is it 3 playoff appearances in a row?
You get a final score on that one?
I do. It was 42-7.
Okay, I was trying to find that. Mount Vernon. Yeah, like to your point, Mount Vernon they got dudes, man.
Yeah. Now they have Hayfield next week. It's gonna be a really tough game. Then they have Annandale, West Potomac, which I think is not gonna be an easy game, and then Edison. So in their heads,
Right.
they're like, if we go a 2-2 split out of that thing, it gives us 5 wins, and we got a chance to get into the party.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's getting fun. It's getting fun. And it all leads back to, some, who's going to fight for I feel like we're shaping up 1 and 3 in each conference. We kind of know who's going to be there.
Yeah.
But, 4 through 8, man, is a dogfight for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And some of these conferences are so top heavy at their 1.
Yeah.
You don't want to be 8.
Yeah.
Give me 7. I'll take 7. Don't give me 8.
Right.
Yeah. Out west, we had Colgan and Freedom Woodbridge.
Freedom Woodbridge is still out there fighting. Colgan needed a win. They took care of business. Meanwhile, Freedom Woodbridge is trying to figure it out, man. Keep on working hard, those guys. Freedom.
Yeah, keep fighting the good fight. Keep fighting the good fight.
Tag us in your highlights.
Yeah,
tag us in your highlights, guys, at Freedom, and so we can. Yeah. I'm sure some of you guys have some highlights. Tag us in there so we can.
For sure, we'll put them out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and even in a loss, I mean, you're always eligible for highlight or player of the week in our book.
Yeah.
Garfield with a big win over Potomac.
Yeah. Garfield continues to roll. We keep on talking about the matchups that are coming. Man, that matchup at the end of the year could be for the district for the district title.
True, it's true. Look out for that one. Freedom South Riding with the getting off the schneid. Congratulations.
Yeah, with the big W, right? With the big W last week
Osborne Park
against Osborne Park. So congratulations to you guys. First victory of the year for the new head coach there at Freedom South Riding.
Outstanding.
Yeah, good job. Wow, I had to feel good. That always feels good, doesn't it?
Heck yeah, man. It's hard to win in football.
It is. It is hard.
I talk to my buddies who coach other sports. I mean, it's hard to win in all sports. It's hard victory, but football win is tough. It's just a tough thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Osborne. Speaking of teams you need to look out for, my friend, and don't start counting your eggs. Osborne, is that one loss, Osborne?
One loss, 5-1.
I think you're sleeping on them a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, Carl. I mean, we probably should ask Carl about it because he was really.
He's a huge fan.
So 5-1. Who does Osborne have left on the schedule? Osborne has left on the schedule.
Congrats to them, man.
Patriot. Osborne. Who do they have left? Osborne has left. All right, so here's their remaining schedule, and this is where we're gonna know, right? This is where we're gonna know where they're at. Their remaining schedule is Patriot, Gainesville, Battlefield, then Osborne Park. Osborne Park's struggling here. You want to prove you're 5-1? You want to prove that you really made it?
Right.
Here you go. Right. Here goes the murderer's row. I mean,
it's true. I mean, I'll use Woodbridge as an example. Woodbridge played Gainesville. Now they didn't win, but they hung in that game.
Yeah.
Right. So Osborne, you don't even need a win. I mean, obviously winning is awesome. If you can win those games, then you really are legit. You're a top team in the state if you win those games.
Yeah.
But even if you don't win, you can declare yourself here and arrive if you just stay in those games with those teams.
Yeah. If you go 12 rounds, right? If you go 12 rounds, the champ.
Yep.
Right.
They've never been. No one's ever gone the distance with Creed. Right. I mean, you go the distance with those guys. Yeah. You're proving yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, buddy, that rounds up a crazy, insane week 7. Lucky week 7 for a lot of teams.
We have 4 more weeks, and then we're all done with the regular season.
With the regular season, then it gets real good. But it gets good right now, my friend. It gets really good right now because this is the portion of the show that some people tune in for. They don't care about some of the other stuff. What they care about is power rankings, and they want to know who is number 1, who's number 10, who's everywhere in between in the most respected power rankings in the DMV.
Ask the VHSL.
VHSL does like our
power VHSL tweet out anybody else's top 10?
No. And when you're making a power rankings list, you need to have the mind powers of the great Kreskin.
Thought you're gonna go. You look a little more like the great Kazoo. Hello, dum-dums.
This is the worst hat ever, dude. It's the worst hat ever, but it does give me mind powers. I think you said it best when I wore this hat last and harnessed that the great mind powers. All my dark horses last week won.
They did.
See?
Yeah.
See? Mind powers.
Yeah. Yeah. You look ridiculous. I just want to say
well, let's get into it, buddy.
That being said, I was looking at myself. I look like Rob Ryan.
I said that a few weeks ago. You look like Rob Ryan. A young Rob Ryan. When he was
all right, let's go.
Philly. All right, look. It's a party, and not everyone's invited, buddy. Okay. Not everyone's invited. And I'll tell you who's not invited, but they're getting the almost invitation. My almost in, but you're not quite in. You're outside. You have a friend who's doing one of these, right? Here, I'll hold you up. You can look in the window. I'll hold you up. And you're trying to jump up. You're trying to look inside the window, right? I'll tell you who that is right now. Herndon is outside trying to get his buddy to kind of just, all right, you get down. Let me just stand on your back. I can look in and see who's in the party. Herndon is so close to getting in the party. So close. Garfield, so close to getting in my party. Woodbridge, you are right there. Everybody wants you in, but we're not letting you in yet. Oakton is back. Oakton was in. They were kicked out. They were brought back in. They're kicked out again. Now they're almost getting back in again. Okay. And Langley fell out. They were 10 last week. Tough fallout, but it was kind of a rough. It wasn't their best performance against Wakefield. They slipped out a little bit of that one out of the top 10. So that's who's outside looking in my party. How about you?
So in mine, I have Langley. Langley's on the outside looking in. Just tough performance against a Wakefield team. Garfield, and you know how I feel about Garfield, but I think Colgan. Well, I thought I like that. Forest Park. I had Forest Park. Yeah,
they had to drop out. Yeah.
Marshall. Drop Marshall out.
Yeah, you had to drop Marshall out. Yeah, I dropped him out.
I got one for you. We just talked about him.
Osborne should be
at 5-1.
Yes.
I mean, they deserve to sit in the car and then look out their window as they drive by, right?
I agree.
What's going on that party over there? That party looks fun over there. I want to go that one. And then Herndon. Herndon's the other one outside looking in right now.
We're almost actually in agreement on a lot of our teams here. Yeah. I would add Osborne to the almost invited to my party list. Invited to my party. I'll add Osborne to that. All right, let's get into the top 10. The most respected top 10 in the business.
Okay.
All right. At 10, I've got Yorktown making a triumphant return. How about you?
I didn't add Yorktown to my almost. I should have added Yorktown to my almost. I got Fairfax.
Fairfax at 10. I like it. At 9, Westfield. Still round, baby. Still round.
Oh, okay. At 9, I got a W, but I got Woodbridge. Big win against a team I've had ranked in my top 10 probably all year.
I wasn't going to hurt Westfield off that Madison line. I mean, they were very close to winning that game. That's why Westfield did not disappear off my list. At 8, Fairfax. I don't know what Carl's talking about. They're 8 on my power rankings list.
At 8, dropped Gainesville.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you so much. At 7, dropped Gainesville. At 7.
At 7, I got Lake Braddock. Off a bye, I got Lake Braddock.
Yeah. Coach Mesa tends to forget about teams when they're on buys. I understand, buddy. I understand. At 6, I don't forget about them. Lake Braddock at 6.
At 6, I got a team that you put down lower. I got Westfield at 6.
Oh wow!
Yes. I mean, against a top ranked team like that.
Yeah. All right, so you are Mr. Westfield. You're gonna walk in that stadium. They're gonna want your autograph. They're gonna cheer you when you walk in. Okay, all right. At 5, making their triumphant entrance into the elite. This is rarefied air when you make the top 5 list. W now, welcome aboard.
At 5, I have a team that beat Westfield. That's why the Westfield kind of jump higher. You got Patriot.
Okay, Patriot. Yeah, we like Patriot. 4, Battlefield.
At 4, I like them better. W&L.
You son of a gun! You're stealing my thunder. You're stealing the thunder of the great Gazoo.
Come on, man. I think they're a top 4 team right now.
Yeah, they're playing great. All right, top three now. Top three. Talk about rarefied air. I'm going to shock the world here. No one sees it coming. At 3, they've dropped. Madison has dropped to number 3. Wow. Mind powers.
At 3, I have Battlefield.
Wow. At 2, this team has jumped. Huge win that knocked Gainesville all the way down. They handily beat a Westfield team that played really close to Madison. Congratulations. You're my new number 2. Patriot Pioneers, baby.
Oh, look at that.
Patriot Pioneers, Jackson McCarter.
You are gonna be a popular guy in Nokesville. I don't know what they have out in Nokesville, but you're gonna be a popular guy out there.
So if I ever drive, a gazillion miles to Nokesville, I'll be a popular guy.
And we're at 2?
At 2, who do you got?
At 2, I got Madison.
2, Madison. And at 1, I have, I'm going to pull a Mesa here. I have Oscar Smith at 1. No, I'm just kidding. Hayfield at 1. They're still rocking and rolling. I'll tell you what, though. I was feeling it this week as I did it. If Madison would have had a convincing win against Westfield, I might have bumped them up, but they went the other way. It wasn't a convincing win, so they went down. And so things stay status quo at number 1 with Hayfield. That's
so no longer 1A, 1B, huh?
For now, no.
Look at that.
I'm the Vince McMahon. I am the Vince McMahon.
And number 1, I have the Carson Colts. No, I did not have the Carson Colts. There it is. That being said, Carson's not nearly the team they were anymore. At number 1, I have the Hayfield Hawks.
So consensus number 1, but we don't really agree on much outside of that.
No,
we don't agree on much outside of that. But Hayfield, congratulations to all those teams that are in our top 10.
Yeah, you deserved it.
They deserve all the roses.
Yeah,
outstanding. Well, buddy, week 7 in the books. We now prepare for week 8. I can't wait. There's some great matchups. We got some work to do, but we got to hit the books and start looking at these game plans for what teams are going to do in week 8.
I mean, what are the big games next week? What are the big games next week? Is there anything I can see just off the top of my head? Well, I got a big game for you.
What do you got?
Garfield Forest Park.
Garfield Forest Park is a big game. It's a really big game. But yeah, you said it earlier. To me, a lot of the big games are in Liberty. There's some huge games in Liberty.
Garfield Forest Park. Let's see. Anything else I see off the top of my head? Let's see here. Langley, Yorktown, I think.
Yorktown. Like I said, Liberty. Liberty's got some good ones next week. Week 8, it could be week great. I can't wait for it. And the weather's supposed to be nice. So once again, weather not impacting anything yet. Might have some chilly nights, but nothing crazy, right? So it's going to be, sunny days, crisp, cool nights. I think that weather is coming. It's coming in November, my friend. I think we're going to, and I like that better. Give me muddy playoff football.
Well, no more muddy because we all have turf fields now.
But that those wood chips get kind of weird, Maybe not quite muddy, but give me a soggy wood chipped field.
That sounds awful.
Well, my friend, it's been another good one.
Yeah, exciting. Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, buddy, enjoy your college and NFL football this weekend, and we'll be right back at it next weekend, buddy, on all Hitches with Coach Dash and Coach Mesa.
See ya.
All right.